Everybody, Geoff Hyland here with the Hyland Group, eXp Realty in Prescott. Want to give you your April 2025 market update. We've got some exciting things happening out there. Speculation, of course, is all across the board. What's going to happen long-term in the economy, but what we deal with here each and every day is the facts and figures that are in front of us. So want to give you some information about what we're seeing here locally. Last month, that would be March of 2025, we had the third highest month in terms of pending sales in our MLS over the last 12 months. So there were 273 properties that went under contract in the month of March. So I was sitting with a buyer recently and they said, Geoff, based on everything that we're reading in the news, which I'm not a big fan of, what should we do? We're kind of thinking of holding off. And I simply went to the numbers and I said, look, that's certainly an option that you can explore, but let me ask you a question. What specifically causes you to believe that you want to hold off on making a purchase? And they said, well, we're reading this stuff in the news. And then I said, well, let me ask you this. If you think that the tariffs and that sort of thing might hurt the economy, what do you think it's going to happen to the price of a replacement new home? I read an article recently that the price of new housing will go up on average across the U.S. by about $10,000. Would you agree with that statement? And they said, well, geez, I guess we never thought about it that way. Yes, could make new housing less affordable. And I said, so if it makes new houses less affordable, is there going to be less downward pressure on resale homes? Because if their resale homes are not competing with new homes, then does it stand to reason that those values might not come down as well? And they said, well, we never thought about it that way. And I said, and here's the really good news. Can I share it with you? And they said, sure. I said, we just saw a 6-month low in terms of interest rates. So interest rates earlier this week were as low as 6.6%. If you're looking at FHA or VA financed loans, our buyers are currently locking some of those in the high fives. So here's the really good news for buyers. There's 27% more inventory available in the market in the greater Prescott area than there was 12 months ago. You've got 6-month low interest, which is also great. So lots of options to look at and low interest rates. And here's the thing, here's the kicker. Buyers are responding to that as seen by the third highest level of pending sales in the last 12 months. So if you're a buyer, you're renting a property, you're wondering if you should wait or if you should hang on, I would consider all of those factors before you make that final decision, or give us a call. We're happy to talk through it with you as well. Other things of note, inventory. So sellers, pay attention to this one. I was with somebody yesterday. They had expired. Their listing had expired. They've been with 2 different agents, and they said, we don't understand. We're watching everything, and it doesn't look like the values are falling. In fact, a lot of people are telling us that the values are continuing to rise. That's true, but what we discovered through our consultation is that the price that they were at with both of the last 2 agents was not realistic. Even though the market's going up, if your home is sitting on the market and it hasn't sold, it doesn't mean the market is disintegrating. It means that maybe you're still not at the price that it needs to be for the buyers to respond to it. So let's take a look at that. Inventory now sitting at 965 properties, and again, those are site-built single-family homes. So, this is the time of year where the inventory typically starts to drastically start to rise. So when we look back at this time last year, only 689 homes existed on the marketplace. Today, 965. And so if that inventory continues to rise and you're a seller, remember, would you rather be competing against more homes on the market or less? And most of us obviously would say less. Now, inventory of the total number, about half of them are in Prescott. Days on market did come down a little bit. Again, another signal to buyers that buyers are coming out of the woodwork. They're starting to purchase homes. They're liking the interest rates. They like the fact that there's more options to choose from. And remember, our market is not faltering. The values are not coming down. Last month, overall, market increased by a little over 1.5%. So days on market is coming down. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the active inventory, again, these are the homes that did not sell. Those 965 properties on the market, they continue to languish on the market. They've been on the market for 120 days, and when you look at the overall price that they're asking, the average of those are priced 14.5% over the average market value where homes are actually selling. So again, if you're on the market, you're struggling to get the property sold, probably need to take a pretty strong look at pricing. Doesn't mean the market is faltering, but maybe you started at a price that was slightly too high to attract the buyers to your home. If you guys have any more questions, always happy to take your call, and I'll look forward to seeing you next month. Thanks so much, and talk to you later.